People speak different love languages. Love languages are similar to spoken languages in that if one spouse speaks only French and the other only German, communication difficulties ensue. Partners who speak different love languages won't be able to recognize each other's gestures of love and care. Recognizing that everyone has a different primary love language is the first step to learning about respective love language needs. Knowing your partner's love language is an important step in understanding what your partner needs and how to make your partner feel valued. In a 2017 Redbook article, writer Charlotte Hilton Anderson shares the results of surveying relationship experts and other professionals, including divorce attorneys, on how to ensure that both people in a relationship feel loved. Divorce mediator Elena Robin notes that most couples on the brink of separation have the same story at their root. Each partner has not felt valued or feels devalued and disrespected by the spouse. To avoid an unhappy marriage and potential separation, Robin recommends asking what is most important to make the spouse feel special, appreciated, and valued. In her view, a spouse usually makes an effort to demonstrate love in the ways specifically stated. As well, a spouse who feels valued will naturally return the affection, making an effort to understand what is required by his or her spouse. Licensed family therapist Sarah Clark underscores the importance of having open communication around basic needs, particularly before warning signs crop up. According to Clark, a change in a spouse's routine, such as spending sudden late nights at the office or avoiding family time on weekends, usually indicates a problem in the marriage. Clark has noticed that many spouses are hesitant to ask directly for what they need to feel loved, but that's precisely the way to create the conditions of a happy, balanced relationship. In asking, partners should be aware that no single person can fulfill every need, so having a sense of what's most important or the primary love language is critical. Clark also recommends that each partner voice expectations. Even unrealistic expectations should be explored in conversation. This exploration heightens understanding and can help couples arrive at realistic expectations of each other. In their respective roles as divorce mediator and relationship therapist, Robin and Clark both highlight the essential role of communication in understanding a partner's specific love language needs, which can only build a stronger foundation for the relationship. Love is the most fundamental emotional need. Psychologists believe that love is the most essential requirement for emotional well-being and security. Love and affection make people feel like they belong and are valued and desired. When children don't feel loved, they act out. When adults don't feel loved, they may also act out. Starting fights, nagging, and criticizing are a few of the ways that people show they feel unloved. Relational conflict might be due to the inability to accept and receive love, as Harville Hendricks and Helen Lakeley Hunt, a married marriage therapist duo, explore in Receiving Love. Letting your relationship be transformed by letting yourself be loved 2004. In their therapy practice, Hendricks and Hunt have worked with couples to identify what each needs from the other to feel loved and appreciated. In some cases, even if one partner has stated needs met, that partner might still feel unloved. Hendricks and Hunt realized that some people feel anxious when their needs are met, as was the case with George and Mary. Mary articulated exactly what she needed: daily expressions of affection, such as being spoken to in a gentle tone of voice, but when George began to do these things, she rejected him. At first, it seemed that Mary had a legitimate point. His efforts didn't feel real because they were at the direction of their therapists. Yet, after weeks went by, Hendricks and Hunt saw that the problem wasn't that George didn't intend to express love. It was that Mary had a hard time absorbing his gestures as love. The problem was not with the giver George, but with the receiver Mary. As they surveyed other couples in their practice, they could see that resistance to receiving love was common. They believed that the first step to healing this relationship pattern is to identify it so that the giving partner doesn't get frustrated and give up. The anxiousness that comes with needs being met has roots in childhood, when a parent didn't respond to a child's need for love, and so the child, now an adult, rejected his or her own needs. As an adult, the rejection of a partner's efforts is really a rejection of the self. Healing these old wounds will clear the pathway toward true intimacy and love, a fundamental need for all beings. Real love, unlike infatuation, requires consciously choosing to support each other. Often, when couples first get together, they experience a bubble of love, or a phase in which they believe that love has changed them and they'll always be selfless and giving toward their partner. However, that phase never lasts. At some point, reality sets in. Some couples may then choose to separate or resign themselves to unhappiness. But that would be a mistake, as this juncture is an opportunity to choose real love, which is an attitude of willingness to support each other. Real love can create positive feelings similar to those of the infatuation phase. Only these feelings last because they are based in reality. In All About Love, New Visions 2000, feminist philosopher, activist, and best-selling author Bell Hooks explores how the concept of love has often been nebulously defined. She wrote the book in response to former relationships in which she struggled to feel loved, and she bemoans the lack of a shared definition of what love is. While many people believe that love is born of instinct, implying that it's not a conscious choice, Hooks relates best to the definition in The Road Less Traveled 1978, a self-help tome by psychiatrist M. Scott Peck. Peck describes love as both an action and an intention, the desire to support, nurture, and nourish another's spiritual growth. This definition of love is essential to human development, Hooks notes, most prominently in childhood. Babies and children thrive in response to the security of love, which is a mixture of affection, commitment, respect, kindness, and honest communication. However, society perpetuates an unhealthy model of love. The mainstream view of love has nothing to do with loving actions and intention. According to Hooks, the more society can embrace a common language around what love is and what love isn't, the healthier, more loving society will become. Words of affirmation include compliments and kind words. A person who thrives on words of affirmation is one who requires verbal reassurance. For example, a woman might enjoy receiving compliments that affirm her spouse's feelings for her, or simply need communication that is spoken in a gentle, caring manner, even when the topic of conversation is difficult. Married couple and marriage experts Gay and Kathleen Hendricks write about the difficulty of learning how to share spontaneous, genuine words of appreciation and lasting love. The 5 Secrets to Growing a Vital, Conscious Relationship 2004. While most couples can understand the need to give free-flowing verbal assurance, the Hendrickses report that it often takes couples an entire year of consistently offering words of appreciation to fully understand how restorative and healing this practice is. For example, taking the time to compliment a partner's new haircut or stopping to recognize a partner's quiet generosity and unfailing reliability helps promote the longevity of any relationship. However, the Hendrickses caution that such words of appreciation and admiration must never be given with the intention of receiving something in return. In other words, manipulating a partner by offering compliments, even when they are sincere, is not a demonstration of genuine, conscious love or love that is given freely. The reward for givers of compliments is to enjoy how good they make the other person feel. As the Hendrickses show, using words of affirmation to demonstrate love is an essentially generous act and ultimately gratifying too. Quality time creates a reservoir of happy memories. Quality time consists of any time that a spouse has a partner's full, undivided attention. That means time unmarred by work concerns, looking at the cell phone incessantly, or anything else except being together. When quality time is spent doing memorable activities together, such as going for hikes, couples amass recollections that can be drawn upon later. Upon reflection, these memories, no matter what the activity, become memories of love and affection. Making a concerted effort to spend quality time together can deepen bonds and create memories, as writer Melanie Burliott discovered when she engaged in an exercise with her boyfriend of 5 years, asking each other 36 questions and staring into each other's eyes for 4 minutes. The questions came out of a 1997 study by psychologist Arthur Aaron and were meant to demonstrate how 2 people, even strangers, can develop closeness. Burliott felt she knew everything about her significant other until they sat down one night and asked each other the prescribed questions. To mark the occasion, they ate dinner by candlelight, drank wine, and then sat down to mine the corners of each other's psyches. They talked about their future children, ideal dinner guest, and embarrassing moments. While some of the answers revealed stark differences of opinion, Burliott felt comforted when her boyfriend remarked on what he most admired about her, because his specific observations that she is not motivated by others' opinions, for example, made her feel seen. They ended the activity staring into each other's eyes for 6 minutes, 2 minutes beyond what the study recommended, during which time they began to tear up. This exercise was not just an intellectual one, Berliet discovered. In fact, the experience of mutual self-disclosure confirmed her belief that she is with the right person. Her vivid recollections of this exercise demonstrate how a memorable experience can have lasting, positive reverberations throughout a relationship. Whether pricey, low cost, or free, gifts can be symbols of value and love. Gestures of love might include a handwritten letter, flowers, a framed photograph, or an article of clothing. To those whose fundamental love language is receiving gifts, what matters most is the thought that goes into getting and giving the gift. Time can also be a great gift. For example, if a woman chooses to miss a much-needed weekend with friends because her husband is having a work crisis and she wants to support him, that is considered a gift of her time, especially since it meant sacrificing something she really wanted to do. Research has shown that even when people have the best intentions in offering gestures of appreciation, they sometimes miss the mark. According to a 2014 study, recipients are happiest when gifts serve a practical purpose or are easier to use in the context of their everyday life and habits. Meanwhile, givers are more likely to give gifts that are less practical but appear to be more desirable. For example, a man might know his partner loves to get massages, so he chooses a fancy spa that takes more effort to get to, as it's an hour away from his partner's home. His partner would have preferred to receive a gift certificate to the no-frills massage parlor closer to her house, so she appreciates the gesture but is less appreciative than she would have been if he had taken the feasibility of the gift into consideration. In cases like this, gift-giving backfires, particularly when the giver has an expectation of social benefit, perhaps heightened gratitude from the recipient as a result of giving the gift. This study illustrates the importance of choosing pragmatic gifts and listening to the receiver's pragmatic concerns. Love can never be given under duress. Love cannot be forced or demanded. It's essential that both partners understand they can't make their partner love them. Support of a spouse is not an expression of love if it is not given in the spirit of love. Begrudgingly doing the laundry every week is not an expression of love, for example. Requests provide guidance toward emotional needs, but it's up to the other partner to choose whether or not to meet a request. In a 2014 Guardian article, Bridget Schultz writes about the surprising obstacles partners face when fulfilling each other's requests willingly. Schultz entered her marriage to Tom with the clear intention that they would not have an old-fashioned relationship where she took care of the domestic work, and he was the main financial support. Tom agreed wholeheartedly, but their dynamic changed after they had 2 children. Schultz ended up doing the bulk of caring for the children and cleaning the house while staying on top of her own work deadlines. Meanwhile, Tom traveled abroad as a journalist for long stretches at a time. When Schultz felt overwhelmed, she nagged Tom to help out more. Finally, she requested that Tom acknowledge her efforts and say thank you. He did this at her request, but not willingly or of his own initiative. The couple did not achieve a fair division of labor until they sought the help of Jessica DeGroot of the Third Path Institute, which helps parents in dual-income households navigate shared duties. The first step for Schultz and Tom was to talk about how they saw their ideal domestic life. In having long conversations, they realized that Tom was following the path forged by his father, who had been the primary breadwinner. Slowly, they began to see how they had each internalized gender stereotypes. Having these conversations put them back in alignment, and now Schultz and Tom willingly share more of the domestic load. For Schultz and her husband, this change required identifying the root causes of how they came to have such an unfair division of labor in the first place. Each was operating from a set of unexamined beliefs about gender. Even if Tom had acted out of obligation to, say, take the kids to doctor appointments every once in a while, the couple could not achieve equality without understanding the underlying dynamics of their situation. Once those beliefs were brought to the fore, the couple was able to make conscious decisions about how they wanted to live, including sharing basic domestic duties. Because they each devoted time and energy to sorting this issue out, they now give generously to each other. This example shows how important it is to delve deep into belief systems and how those belief systems may be impacting each partner's willingness to contribute to the relationship. A couple may have the same love language, but speak different dialects. It's not common, but 2 people in the same relationship can have the same love language. If partners both require acts of service, They may have a fundamental understanding of why it's important to, say, help with cooking or watch the kids on a regular basis. However, they may not speak the same dialect. So for a husband who needs acts of service, something like mowing the lawn regularly may be what he thinks shows his wife his love for her, when what she actually wants is for him to vacuum once a week. Take the hypothetical example of Sally and Thomas, a middle-aged couple. Sally is the breadwinner, while Thomas stays home with their two children. Both Sally and Thomas appreciate when the other goes out of their way to lighten their burdens. However, Sally and Thomas are so busy that they don't pause to make sure that they're supporting each other in a way that feels most fitting. For example, Thomas likes to make lunches for Sally so that she doesn't have to eat out. What Thomas doesn't realize is that he's motivated also by environmentalism. If he makes Sally lunch, that cuts down on plastic usage from takeout containers. Meanwhile, Sally is not an environmentalist. She doesn't like carrying food in her bag and lugging dirty containers home. As a result, Thomas' act of service doesn't convey his love for her, even though that is what he intends. What Sally would really appreciate is Thomas offering to watch the kids a couple of Saturday afternoons a month so that she can have leisure time with her sister. Even though Thomas agrees to watch the kids whenever she asks, she can sense slight resentment from him. This produces resentment in her until, at the suggestion of a friend, Sally finally explains that she would like some relief from her busy schedule without always having to ask Thomas to watch the kids. She also admits that she doesn't want to bring lunch. Thomas is surprised, but with Sally's guidance, he is able to show her love in a way that she can feel and cherish with acts of service specific to her dialect. Those whose primary love language is physical touch require physical displays of affection to fill their love tank. A lack of touch can generate emotional pain in the person whose primary love language is physical contact. If a partner who values physical touch is always initiating contact, he or she may pull back to give a partner the opportunity to initiate touch. Scientific studies have backed up the importance of touching in couples, as writer Danielle Friedman highlighted in a 2018 article for Health. Affectionate caresses have been proven to heighten feelings of bonding and attachment in intimate partners. In long-term, committed partnerships, physical touching has an impact on health and wellness, as it helps to reduce cortisol levels, which are associated with stress. Friedman interviewed neuroscientist David J. Linden, who has studied touching. Based on his research, Linden believes that acts of physical affection, like hugs, hand-holding, or a hand on the shoulder, are nonverbal ways to communicate solidarity and togetherness. Friedman also spoke with Helen Fisher, a biological anthropologist who touts the benefits of consistent, sustained touching throughout the years, something that people who have been married for a while often forget to do. In Fisher's view, this kind of touching helps couples feel and stay in love throughout the years, in part due to increased levels of oxytocin, a hormone that is responsible for emotional bonding, which results from an increase in loving physical touch.